Welcome. Venus, at the approach of twilight, returned from the banquet of the gods, breathing odors and crowned with roses. Seeing the task done, she exclaimed, "This is no work of yours, wicked one, but his, whom to your own and his misfortune you have enticed." So saying, she threw her a piece of black bread for her supper and went away. Next morning, Venus ordered Psyche be called, and said to her, "Behold yonder grove which stretches along the margin of the water. There you will find sheep feeding without a shepherd, with golden shining fleeces on their backs. Go fetch me a sample of that precious wool gathered from every one of their fleeces." Psyche obediently went to the riverside, prepared to do her best to execute the command. But the river god inspired the reeds with harmonious murmurs, which seemed to say, "O maiden, severely tried, tempt not the dangerous flood, nor venture among the formidable rams on the other side. For as long as they are under the influence of the rising sun, they burn with cruel rage to destroy mortals with their sharp-honed horns or rude teeth. But when the noontide sun had driven the flock to the shade and the serene spirit of the flood has lulled them to rest, you may then cross in safety, and you will find the woolly gold sticking to the bushes and trunks of the trees." Thus the compassionate river god gave Psyche instructions how to accomplish her task, and by observing his directions, she soon returned to Venus with her arms full of the golden fleece. But she received not the approbation of her implacable mistress, who said, "I know very well it is by none of your own doings that you have succeeded in this task, and I am not satisfied yet that you have any capacity to make yourself useful. But I have another task for you. Here, take this box and go your way to the infernal shades, and give this box to Persephone, and say, my mistress Venus desires you to send her a little of your beauty, for in tending her sick son she has lost some of her own. Be not too long on your errand, for I must paint myself with it to appear the circle of the gods and goddesses this evening." Psyche was now satisfied that her destination was at hand, being obliged to go with her own feet directly down to Erebus. Wherefore, to make no delay of what was not to be avoided, she goes to the top of the high tower to precipitate herself headlong, thus to descend the shortest way to the shades below. But a voice from the tower said to her, "Why, poor unlucky girl, dost thou design to put an end to thy days in so dreadful a manner? And what cowardice makes thee sink under this last danger? Who has been so miraculously supported in all thy former?" Then the voice told her how by a cave she might reach the realms of Pluto, and how to avoid all the dangers of the road, to pass by Cerberus, the three-headed dog, and prevail upon Chiron, the ferryman, to take her across the Black River and bring her back again. But the voice added, "When Persephone has given you the box, filled with her beauty, of all things this is chiefly to be observed by you, that you never once open or look into the box, nor allow your curiosity to pry into the treasure of the beauty of the goddesses." Psyche, encouraged by this advice, obeyed it in all things, and taking heed to her ways, traveled safely to the kingdom of Pluto. She was admitted to the palace of Persephone, and without accepting the delicate seat or delicious banquet that was offered her, but contented with coarse bread for her food, she delivered her message from Venus. Presently, the box was returned to her, shut and filled with the precious commodity. Then she returned the way she came, and glad was she to come out once more into the light of day. But having got so far successfully through her dangerous task, a longing desire seized her to examine the contents of the box. "What," said she, "shall I, the carrier of this divine beauty, not take the the least bit to put on my cheeks to appear to more advantage in the eyes of my beloved husband? So she carefully opened the box, but found nothing there, any beauty at all, but an infernal and truly Stygian sleep, which being thus set free from its prison, took possession of her, and she fell down in the midst of the road, a sleepy corpse without sense or motion. But Cupid, being now recovered from his wound, and not able longer to bear the absence of his beloved Psyche, slipping through the smallest crack of the window of his chamber, which happened to be left open, flew to the spot where Psyche lay, and gathering up the sleep from her body, closed it again in the box, and waked Psyche with a light touch of one of his arrows. Again said he, "Hast thou almost perished by the same curiosity? But now perform exactly the task imposed on you by my mother, and I will take care of the rest." Then Cupid, as swift as lightning, penetrated the heights of the heavens, presented himself before Jupiter with his supplication. Jupiter lent a favoring ear and pleaded the cause of the lovers so earnestly with Venus that he won her consent. On this he sent Mercury to bring Psyche up to the heavenly assembly, and when she arrived, handing her a cup of ambrosia, he said, "Drink this, Psyche, and be immortal, nor shall Cupid ever break away from the knot in which he is tied, but these nuptials shall be perpetual." Thus Psyche became at last united to Cupid. In due time they had a daughter, born to them, whose name was Pleasure. The fable of Cupid and Psyche is usually considered allegorical. The Greek name for a butterfly is Psyche, and the same word means the soul. There is no illustration of the immortality of the soul so striking and beautiful as the butterfly, bursting on brilliant wings from the tomb in which it was laying after a dull, groveling caterpillar existence, to flutter in the blaze of day and feed on the most fragrant and delicate productions of the spring. Psyche, then, is the human soul, which is purified by sufferings and misfortunes, and is thus prepared for the enjoyment of true and pure happiness. In works of art, Psyche is represented as a maiden with the wings of a butterfly, alone or with Cupid, in the different situations described in the allegory. Milton alludes to the story of Cupid and Psyche in the conclusion of his Comus. Celestial Cupid, her famed son, advanced holds on his dear Psyche, sweet, entranced, after her wandering labors long, till freed, consent, the gods among, make her his eternal bride, and from her fair unspotted side, 'twas blissful twins are to be born, youth and joy, so Jove hath sworn. The allegory of the story of Cupid and Psyche is well presented in the beautiful lines of T.K. Hervey. They wove bright fables in the days of old, when reason borrowed fancy's painted wings, when truth's clear river flowed o'er sands of gold, and told in song its high and mystic things. And such the sweet and solemn tale of her pilgrim heart, to whom a dream was given, that led her through the world, love's worshipper, to seek on earth for him, whom home was heaven. In the full city by the haunted font, through the dim grotto's tracery of spars, mid the pine temples on the moonlit mount, where silence sits to listen to the stars, in the deep glade where dwells the brooding dove, the painted valley and the scented air, she heard far echoes of the voice of love and found his steps traced everywhere. But never more they met, since doubts and fears, those phantom shapes that haunt and blight the earth, have come twixt her, a child of sin and tears, and that bright spirit of immortal birth, until her pining soul and weeping eyes had learned to seek him only in the skies, till wings unto the weary heart were given, and she became love's angel bride in heaven. The story of Cupid and Psyche first appears in the works of Apuleius, a writer of the 2nd century of our era. It is therefore much more recent date than most of the legends of the Age of Fable. It is this that Keats alludes to in his Ode to Psyche. O latest born and loveliest vision far of all the Olympus' fated hierarchy, fairer than Phoebe's sapphire-regioned star, or Vesper, amorous glowworm of the sky, fairer than these, though temple thou hast none, nor altar heaped with flowers, nor virgin choir to make delicious moan upon the midnight hours. No voice, no lute, no pipe, no incense sweet from chain swung, censer teeming, no shrine, no grove, no oracle, no heat of pale-mouthed prophet dreaming. In Moore's Summer Fete, a fancy ball is described in which one of the characters personated is Psyche. Not in the dark disguise tonight hath our young heroine veiled her light, for see she walks the earth love's own, his wedded bride by the holiest vow pledged in Olympus and made known to mortals by the type which now hangs glittering on her snowy brow, that butterfly, mysterious trinket, which means the soul, though few would think it, and sparkling thus on brow so white, tells us we've Psyche here tonight. Thanks for being with me in this beautiful place with these beautiful words and these magical moments. Hopefully you have many more. We'll see you next week.